In the heart of the 20th century, at a time when the world was changing rapidly and colonial empires were collapsing, South Africa was trapped under one of the harshest systems of racial segregation ever created. This system was called apartheid. Under apartheid, a small white minority held complete power over the black majority. Black South Africans were not allowed to live in the same neighborhoods as whites. They could not attend the same schools. They had no right to vote. And even basic freedoms such as traveling, owning property, or speaking against the government could result in brutal punishment. It was a world designed to humiliate and break the spirit of millions of people. In 1918, in a small village called Mvizo in the Eastern Cape, a boy named Nelson Mandela was born. He would later be given the name Nelson by a schoolteacher, a common practice at the time when African children were assigned English names. From his earliest years, Mandela was shaped by the traditions of his people, the Xhosa, who taught him stories of past chiefs and warriors who resisted oppression. This gave him a sense that justice, dignity, and leadership were sacred responsibilities. As a young man, Mandela pursued education, something rare for Black South Africans in those days. He studied law at the University of Fort Hare and later in Johannesburg, where he became one of the first Black lawyers in the country. But as he worked with poor and oppressed people, he realized that the law itself was a weapon in the hands of the oppressors. The system was designed to protect white supremacy, not to deliver justice. Mandela could not remain silent. He joined the African National Congress, a political movement that sought to fight against injustice. At first, Mandela believed in peaceful resistance. He and his colleagues organized strikes, marches, and demonstrations. But every time the people stood up, the government responded with violence. Peaceful protesters were beaten, jailed, and often killed. The most shocking moment came in 1960 at the Sharpeville massacre, when police opened fire on unarmed demonstrators, killing 69 people. This event changed Mandela forever. He realized that the government would never give up its power voluntarily. The time had come to fight back. Mandela, along with his comrades, formed a secret armed wing of the ANC called Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation. They planned sabotage against government installations and infrastructure, carefully avoiding civilian casualties, to send a message that oppression would not last forever. But in 1962, Mandela was captured, betrayed, and put on trial. The regime wanted to break him, to make him beg for mercy. But in the courtroom, Mandela stood tall and delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century. He declared that he had fought against white domination and against black domination, and that he dreamed of a free and democratic South Africa where all could live in harmony. Then he ended with words that echoed across history. "It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced not to death, but to life imprisonment. He was sent to Robben Island, a small prison off the coast, where conditions were harsh beyond imagination. Prisoners were forced to do hard labor, breaking stones in the burning sun. Mandela's cell was so small that he could not even stretch his arms fully. For years, he was allowed only one visitor every 6 months, and letters were heavily censored. Guards tried to break his spirit, humiliating him daily. Yet Mandela refused to bow. Instead, he turned prison into a university. He educated younger prisoners, teaching them politics, history, and law. He read every book he could get, and he exercised daily, keeping his body and mind strong. The outside world slowly began to hear about him. As years turned into decades, Free Nelson Mandela became a rallying cry across the globe. In London, New York, Lagos, Delhi, and countless other cities, millions of people marched demanding his release. Musicians wrote songs about him, students carried his picture, and governments around the world began to pressure South Africa. But inside the prison walls, Mandela waited with patience, never losing hope that one day freedom would come. Finally, in 1990, after 27 years behind bars, Nelson Mandela walked free. The world watched in awe as this man, now with gray hair but still standing tall, raised his fist in triumph. He had entered prison as a fiery young revolutionary and emerged as a wise leader, ready to guide a divided nation toward peace. What shocked many was not his determination, but his forgiveness. He did not call for revenge against the white minority who had oppressed his people. Instead, he called for reconciliation, saying, "Courage is not the absence of fear, it's inspiring others to move beyond it." In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, where black and white citizens alike cast their votes. For the first time, the majority had a voice. The result was historic. Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. His inauguration was not only a political moment, but a moral victory for humanity. Leaders from around the globe attended, and millions celebrated, knowing they were witnessing history. As president, Mandela worked tirelessly to heal the wounds of the past. He created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where victims and perpetrators of apartheid could come forward, confess, and seek forgiveness. Instead of tearing the country apart with vengeance, he built a path toward unity. He focused on education, poverty reduction, and rebuilding a nation that had been broken for decades. Even after leaving the presidency, Mandela continued to be a global symbol of peace, justice, and humanity. He supported causes such as HIV, AIDS awareness, global human rights, and education for children. Wherever he went, he was respected as a man who had endured suffering but never surrendered his humanity. On December 5, 2013, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. His death was mourned not only in South Africa, but across every corner of the globe. Presidents, kings, and ordinary people alike paid tribute to him. The world did not just lose a leader, it lost a moral compass. A man who had shown that dignity, forgiveness, and justice could triumph over hatred and division. Today, Mandela's story continues to inspire millions. He is remembered not only as a freedom fighter and a president, but as a symbol of what humanity can achieve when courage meets compassion. His life remains a lesson that even in the darkest prison, the flame of hope can never be extinguished, and that one person's dream can change the destiny of an entire nation.